That's just sports, baby.
Crowd goes wild, strawberry ice bringing fire and style. Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, all in my zone. This is my stage, my mic, my throne. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy Fine is kicking down the door. Step into the ring where the passion ignites. Talking sports all day and all night. From the field to the court to the roaring stands. Strawberry ice with the world in my hands. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's Fine is kicking down the door.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole, and as always, we bring you sports from a West Side point of view from the great city, Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave, and the Ice Cave is brought to you by Priority Lawn and Landscaping. If you guys got any lawns you need to get cut, or I don't know, if you got some chainsaw work you want to do that you don't want to do yourself, take Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Don't think it. Call them at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. I always recommend that so you can check out some of the work they've done. And when you message them on Facebook or give them a call, tell Johnny you heard about them from Sports with Strawberry Ice. Gotta get this out there. I'm hoping to get as many people there as we can. A part of, I'm not a celebrity, but they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. They're getting me to do this. But the 35th Celebrity Softball Classic, July 17th at the Florence Y'all baseball stadium there. Get your tickets at Celebrity Softball Classic. You can come watch me hopefully not embarrass myself or hurt myself, but that's going to be a good time. What is up to everybody in the chat? We've got Strangers in the first. Brad's in there. Paul Pater's in there. T. Brookie, what's up? Holmes in there. Natty Ron, what's up, buddy? All right, boys and girls, we got a very special guest. I tried to get him on a couple weeks ago, but he was on vacation. And, the man's allowed to take vacation from time to time. It's okay. But he's back at it, and he is on the beat. He's got stats. He's got all kinds of stuff. He's full of Bengals knowledge. He is the one and only Jay Morrison. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, Jeff. How are you?
Good, man. Good to see you. I'm glad you're on Bengals Brews yesterday. I'm glad you made it without hurting yourself with the chainsaw the other day. That was good.
Yeah, it was never in doubt. I took some chances, but I didn't go crazy. I only went about 15 feet up, and I survived. I didn't fall off the ladder. I saw a big hornet staring at me, and I was like, "Ooh, is there more?" And I waited, and I went down, and I got something that I could whack it with, and I killed the hornet. And I was waiting to see if more were coming out, and none came out. So I felt safe to cut down the rest of the branch, and I was able to make it on with you today.
Well, that's good. Well, that's better than what I did with the hornet 2 weeks ago. I was changing a light bulb out, and I was outside, and my wife's like, she's like, "There's a hornet there." I was like, "Oh yeah." I don't know what I was thinking. Also, I stuck my hand in there to get the light bulb out, and got stung right on my thumb. I'm like, oh my goodness, my thumb swelled up, my hand swelled up. Well, that was stupid. And then I found some I had the brake cleaner, brake fluid. I squirted the hornet with that and killed it with the brake cleaner. So,
oh yeah, any kind of aerosol works on those bugs.
Yeah, I was just like, so then I had my hand swollen up on me for it went away, but it's fine now. But yeah, that's a thing called Priority Lawn and Landscaping. So we don't hurt ourselves. All right, Jay, we are in the month of July. This is the month training camp starts. I can't wait. I mean, it's the end of the month, but hey, we're getting closer and closer to football season. So we got a couple questions here. Well, first of all, let me start out with this one. And this is what the talk of Cincinnati sports has been today is a little Reds conversation. Do you think Chase Burns was tipping his pitches last night? Because I know you're an expert on baseball.
I was actually chainsawing when he was. I came inside and checked, and I saw 6-0, and I was like, "Well, I guess I don't need to turn the game on." No, I haven't watched, but I would. I've seen the clips where the Red Sox are doing this. And so I would think there was some of that going on. I know rookies can be inconsistent, but you don't go from that performance against the Yankees to that against the Red Sox without something being figured out.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they were jacking the first pitch they were seeing. I'm like, dude, they know something. They got to be figuring his pitches out or something. Anyway, everybody's talking about it on the radio, so I figured I'd ask you. All right, so back to football here. What's your? I'll just put it this way: what's your biggest storyline for right now going into training camp? I'll say other than T and Shamar. What if they're signed, which hopefully they are? What's your biggest storyline going into training camp?
Yeah, for me, it's just going to be, can Dylan Fairchild be what they think he's going to be? Can he win this job? You don't see that a lot from this team. I mean, yeah, with a Burrow, with a Chase, that kind of thing, they'll draft a guy and they're the starter. But a third-round offensive lineman, it seemed like that opening press conference after the draft, they pretty much handed him the job. And I know they're hoping that's the case, but you really can't tell until beyond the first week of camp when the pads come on what these guys are going to be. And the track record's not good. This team has not been very good at drafting offensive linemen, drafting and developing, and it's not necessarily been a coaching issue. I mean, Paul Alexander had failures, Jim Turner had failures, Frank Pollock has had some failures. So is it the scouting? I mean, there's too long of a track record there to think, okay, they finally got it right this time. And so this is nothing against Dylan. I liked his film. I think he does have a good future in this league, but it's a big deal if he isn't ready to be the guy they think he can be, because then you're talking about a reclamation project with Cordell Volson. Lucas Patrick still has, he's fighting through a knee issue that he's coming back from, and then Cody Ford. So on the surface, if all those guys play up to their potential, you like the depth with those four guards. But, you get one injury or Dylan Fairchild's not ready, and all of a sudden you get holes in that offensive line. And that's really, in my mind, the only thing that could derail this offense this year. You've got all the offensive weapon pieces back. You got Burrow. Maybe an addition. It's going to feel like Jermaine Burton's a rookie this year. If his head's on straight, you slide him into that mix. So they've got to get those guard positions right. So that's the biggest question to me. I know a lot of people look at the defense. I kind of just have some faith that's going to be good enough. The improvement's going to be good enough. My real concern there is that offensive line, and can Dylan Fairchild be ready?
Yeah, and one thing with the offensive line, I thought that you kind of touched on it a little bit. I really think this is, and I know everything's got to work out right with the guards here, but this could be the deepest and most versatile offensive line they've had since Burrow got here. Because you could have, if Fairchild is your left guard, and I always forget his name,
Lucas Patrick.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I cannot remember that guy's name. Lucas Patrick is your right guard. Then you have Cody Ford and Rivers as your backup swing. They both can play guard and tackle. So I think it's that would be the perfect situation. But am I crazy in saying that it's one of the deepest offensive line we've had, you think? Or
no, I think it is. And you have to think too, with the addition of Scott Peters, that that's going to be worth some sort of value. And Lucas Patrick has played center in this league too. You keep looking at, well, gosh, what if something happens to Ted? He is getting a little bit older, and Matt Lee was a 7th round pick last year. Is that somebody you want to stick in at center? And I think Lucas Patrick would be the answer there if something did happen to Ted. So it's versatile and it's deep, and I think Jackson Kirkland's still kind of a wild card in that. I don't know.
Still there, yeah.
I don't know that he's ready yet, but they did like him before the injury last year, and we didn't see him get a lot of run in the offseason. But again, it's a little too early to be pointing to a depth chart based on what you see in practice.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
But there's pieces there.
I'm talking about,
and that's the reason you brought Scott Peters in to develop these guys. So I think they should feel pretty good about this offensive line, especially because Amarius Mims he's gonna be a really good one, and Orlando already is, and Ted's solid. So it's just tweaking these guard spots.
Now, were you excited as I was to see the video of Fairchild wrestling against an MMA guy? I mean, it was impressive to me how big he is and how quickly he moved. I mean, I don't know if you got a chance to see that video on Twitter at all, but
Yeah, I did.
I thought that was pretty impressive for me. I thought. I mean, that gives me. I won't say it has nothing to do with football. It does. It's movement and everything, and being athletic. To me, that bodes well for him being able to be our starting left guard. The way he can move. That's just me. Like I said, I am not an offensive line coach or anything, but I was just impressed by that.
No, I mean, leverage is a big deal and playing offensive line and in wrestling. And yeah, it was an MMA guy, but there was no striking going on. They were basically wrestling. And so,
wrestling. Yeah.
But he did. He held his own. And he looked against a professional. He looked pretty good. And yeah, I mean, yeah, he was a state champion wrestler in high school, but he hasn't been wrestling since then. So to just kind of dust off the singlet, I guess you would say, and get back out there, I thought it was an impressive showing.
I thought it was too. Fro here's got a question here. Do we have enough linebackers area, or is that a spot to consider adding on? I'll answer it. I like what we did with the linebacker spot. I mean, to be honest, I think Knight and the kid we got out of Florida, I think he's gonna be really good. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, you're talking about Barrett Carter from Clemson.
Yes, Clemson, not Florida.
Yeah, I thought that was telling that they went out and got 2 linebackers that early. I really do like Demetrius Knight. I think I like what I've seen from him, and I've liked what I've heard from him. There's just that maturity there, which you would expect from a 25-year-old married father. But the players made note of that too, that this guy doesn't feel or act like a rookie. I think Oren Burks played big in big spots in the playoffs. I don't think he's a guy you would want to count on as a starter all year.
Third, I think he's the
third. Which I think Carter might be third, and Oren Burks might be fourth. He's going to be a special teams guy. He's going to be a guy that you can stick in there in certain situations. I was really surprised with Muma in Jongmeta last year, and he's not a guy that you probably want to plug in as a starter, but in spots I think you could trust him to go in and play. So yeah, I think the linebacker group is better. And, it's been talked to death this offseason, but that's what Al Golden was before he became the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, as he was linebacker coach.
I think the first or second year he was the coach, that's when we drafted Logan Wilson and Akeem Davis Gaither too. So we've done
and Marcus Bailey. They took 3 they took 3 that year. So
so we've done this before with him as our linebackers could now as our defense core. So we've went down this road before, and it worked out. I mean, pretty good for us. We had a pretty good linebacking core. So with that being said, what is in your mind? What is the most I know what mine is, but what's your most underrated move the Bengals made this offseason that it's in your opinion, it's a pretty good move that nobody's really talking about?
I mean, nobody's talking about TJ Slayton. I don't know. I don't know if you want to say underrated because they gave him a lot of money.
But nobody's talking about it. I mean,
it's like not a sexy position. He's just going to he's going to get in the middle and muck things up. And he is, you watch in that locker room, and the young guys really gravitate to that guy. And you can see that camaraderie building. And, it's still the AFC North. And you still have to stop the run, and I think having that body in the middle in there is going to be a big deal. And then you sub him out on third downs, and you can put Cam Sample in there, or even Shamar Stewart's going to move inside at times, and Osai, and we know BJ Hill can rush the passer. So I think that's the move. That's what they really needed to do. People pointed all the missed tackles and bad angles. And that was a big part of this run defense last year, but you put that rock in the middle that eats up a couple blocks, and all of a sudden things get a lot easier for those other guys.
Yeah. We had that guy in DJ Reader. We let him walk out the door.
Yeah.
And that we didn't replace him. And I think that's what TJ Slayton is. One thing I'll say this too. And he's not he's not going to get the quarterback a lot, but he's going to help the pass rush. And I think taking up 2 guys and holding his lane, where you might get some guys off of the edges coming from different directions. That's where I think he's going to help the pass rush like that, just being that big force in the middle.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see this team in Al's scheme do a lot more stunting and run some games. And when you have that that big guy in the middle and you loop somebody around the other way. I think there's ways there to exploit that. So I'm with you. I think he can have an impact in the pass rush without actually getting hits on the quarterback.
Exactly. T. Burger here's got a question for you about Alex Kappa. Kappa fell off a cliff. He had a strength that hurt Mims. What's your thoughts of Kappa? I guess of how he ended the season. I guess is what their question is here.
Yeah, love him as a dude. He was just a really good guy to talk to. Really interesting guy, but you just see this in football. I mean, Father Time comes for all of them, and it's not usually something where you kind of see it just gradually going downhill. A lot of times it is just falling off the cliff, and it kind of ties back to the Trey Hendrickson negotiations where they love everything Trey's done and they have faith, but can you afford to pay that kind of money to somebody who might experience that downfall once they get over 30? He's already over 30. He'll be 31 this year. So that did hurt him last year. You signed Alex Kappa to a deal not to be a Pro Bowl guard, but to be a good solid guard, and he was for a couple years, but last year he just wasn't. And it's just like with the TJ Slayton thing where there's a ripple effect. You get that one weak spot on the offensive line, and there's a they not only exploit that, but it just creates a ripple effect across the group.
Exactly. I mean, and Alex Kappa was a good free agent signing, and that's when I don't like it. People are like, "Oh, I was a bad signing." No, he had 2 really good years for it. He just got hurt the last couple of years. Now the Trey Hendrickson thing, I've talked to different beat writers and stuff. From what I get, it's the money, but I also have heard, or I think it might be more the length of the contract too. Like he wants a longer 3 to 4 year contract, and I personally think at the most the Bengals will go 3 years, and I don't even think they want to do that. I think they want to do 1, maybe 2 years. I more think that's what the holdup is than the actual money. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, Trey has said that he wants longer term security, and he doesn't want to be the highest paid edge rusher in the league, but he wants to double his salary pretty much. He wants to be in the mid-30s, and I don't blame him. He's got a right to say that, and he's got a right to feel that he's not going to break down. They all think that they're not going to break down, but you can never predict it. And I don't know. I see both sides of that argument, and I kind of lean to the Bengals side where I think it's smarter. And, they got burned in 2018. They gave Carlos and Geno all that money, and they just never got the value out of it because those guys I think Geno was over 30 and Carlos was pushing it, and it happens.
Yeah.
And
then everybody will flip it the other way, say, well, we'll let Whitworth go, and how'd that work out? So it's a coin flip, to be honest.
Different.
I mean,
different positions, though.
True,
quarterback, offensive lineman, those guys can play deeper into their careers or deeper into their 30s, because it's a lot of it is more cerebral, and you don't have the twitchy, freaky athleticism that an edge rusher has. That goes away no matter what. You can be as smart as you want, but Trey's a bull, and he can bull rush, and he's strong. But you start losing that bend, and that's when things start going south for you. And you don't see. I mean, wide receivers, it's tough to play into your 30s, and edge rushers, you just don't see a lot of success once they get. Now it's not 30 and it's over like that.
Right. Yeah.
But you don't know when the end.
You don't know when it's going to happen. Right.
Right.
That's where I've always. Well, I can't take credit for this. Richard Skinner said this on my show. I kind of agree with him. If they were to do a 3-year extension, and if they get front loaded a lot with bonuses and get most of the money out in the first 2 years, if he starts falling off the cliff by the third year, which actually would be 4 years because you count the contract this year, then they could get out from underneath of it. Is the way I think they would structure it if they did a 3-year extension. That'd be the smartest way to do it, so they can get out of the third year if they wanted to.
Yeah, and he can say that he got a 3-year deal, and the big thing for them, I think, is the kind of the cachet that comes with being ranked in the top 5 at your position. And if you look at average annual value, then that will be there, even though most of it's going to be front loaded. You drafted Shamar Stewart to kind of be the succession plan there, and they're messing that negotiation up too. You don't have those two guys could be their leading sackers this year, and you don't have either one on the field as we speak, and maybe won't have either one when camp starts. And they've got to figure it out. They've got to, if they're gonna make a offer to Trey that he might want to sign, get it done. Don't be messing around until the first week of training camp. Get it done.
They're gonna mess around, and TJ Watt's gonna get $40 million, and then Micah Parsons is gonna get more than that and blow them both out of the water. And then Trey's money, I think. Well, I don't know. I have a question. Do you think that would affect Trey's money if they're going to get paid more than Trey? Do you think that would affect his money? Like,
it'll affect what he wants. I don't know if it'll affect what the Bengals are going to offer.
I know they might ask for more money is what I'm saying.
But Micah's young. He's looking for his first big deal. But TJ Watt's kind of in that same spot. He's been around for a long time. I think he's right about the same age as Trey. So that's something the Steelers are wrestling with too right now. And they're going all in with Rodgers and now getting Jalen Ramsey. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them just have Trey or have TJ play out this season. And the question with Trey is, it just comes back to, he said he's not going to play on this deal. Easy to say in May.
Yeah,
we'll see when September 7th rolls around if he's actually going to sit out games.
That's what I think. We got Paul from Bengals UK in there. I think that's who that is. What's up? He said, here's something for Jay when it comes to. I hope you know he's talking about AOB. Is he planning to go see any music shows this summer? I think you already went and saw some, didn't you?
Yeah, I've seen a few already. It's funny because we have a friend in Columbus that is kind of our concert buddy, and she just came down and went to the Reds game with my wife on Saturday, and we went out to dinner. We got home and there was no power, so it's like, well, let's go to the bar. So we go to the bar.
That's always a great plan. I like that plan.
So we're talking about concerts and everything, and I was like, well, what are our next ones? And they said, July 20th and July 23rd. They're both in Columbus, and my head just dropped. I was like, when we scheduled those, the training camp schedule wasn't out yet. So July 20th in Columbus, that means I have to get up at 7 in the morning to get back for mock turtle soup. And then July 23rd is the first day of training camp practice. That's Shinedown. That's probably our favorite band.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's like, can I bust it out of training camp in time to get to Columbus to see a show? And
training camp is earlier.
It is. It's 10 to 12. So I do think
mock turtle soup's not. That's the same time.
That's going to make for a tough Thursday then if I have to get back. But and then we have some shows later in the fall too. I think I still have about 5 or 6 calendar or concerts on my calendar through 2025. But thanks for the question, Paul. I got to Jack White with Paul when he was in town last year. It was awesome.
Paul's awesome. I love that dude. So I think I heard Mo say this maybe on your guys' podcast. Maybe are they talking about maybe doing something different than the mock turtle soup? I mean, not this year, but maybe future plans. Are they talk about actually changing that, because that's like a mainstay for beginning of training camp.
Yeah, there was some discussion about doing away with the luncheon, because it's they bring in Duke and they bring in Mike Brown and Zach Taylor, and you do these interviews, and then a lot of media with the way media is now wants to hurry up and get posted stories about what those guys said. And after they talk, that's when the luncheon is. So everybody sits there for 30, 40 minutes eating.
You're all sitting on your phones like this trying to get it out.
Yeah, it was just posed. It was left to the writers. The Bengals weren't trying to get rid of it. They're just like, would the writers prefer this? And I think it was Paul Daner Jr. that stood up and said, no, mock turtle soup has to stay. And so there'll be a little bit of a tweak to the schedule, but it's still on this year, and I don't foresee it going away.
There you go. We had a question about here it is. Michael Madden. He said, do you think Al Gordon's going to bring more linebacker and corner blitzes?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to tell. I think he's open to everything. I think ideally, yes, because you think with this offense, if the defense is a little better and the offense is what we think it's going to be, they're going to have leads in the second half of games, and it's going to allow you to be a little more aggressive and not playing on your heels and trying to force the issue with the offense instead of just sitting back and praying that they don't hit you for a big play. So,
Right.
and I think Demetrius Knight is a guy that can do that. You both him and Barrett Carter are guys that they could move down and line up as edge guys and bring them off the
correct me if I'm wrong, both of them are agile enough to like cover linebackers
Yeah.
or excuse me, tight ends, right? That's
Yes.
the big because we went back to not be able to cover the tight end last year, and I think those guys are going to be the ones that can actually do it this year for us.
Yeah, and corner blitzes, I don't know, possibly, but I do expect to see the linebackers coming a lot more.
Yeah, we have to find somebody to replace Mike Hilton, which I got a question for you on the corner because I really like the cornerback room, to be honest, as long as they all stay healthy.
Yeah.
They stay healthy. I think this quarterback room is really good. Fig Newton, I like him in the slot. I think they're going to move guys around a lot more from just stuff I've heard from Al Golden. But do you think Fig's got a chance to get a lot more playing time in the slot more than outside this year, or do you think they're going to move everybody around a lot?
Yeah, that's a good question because I think we saw it in the offseason. They were moving everybody around, but I just think it was cross training. I don't know if it's necessarily indicative of the scheme.
Mm-hmm.
There's not any I don't know what you call setbacks or anything with Dax Hill,
right?
But you wonder, a guy coming back from that injury, is he going to be ready? Is another injury going to crop up in the course of the season? It usually does at cornerback. That's a tough position to stay healthy all year. And so I think it's good to cross train those guys. I love what Josh Newton's about. He is a mature, confident dude. He's the exact type of makeup that they look for when they draft these guys. And I still think your best bet is Dax in the slot and Cam and DJ Turner out wide, but Fig's going to have a chance to get in there. And
the thing is, will they put Dax in the slot because of the money he's making? Because they did, and that's where I'm always like, that's a lot of money to pay a slot, which I don't care. I mean, I'll have them in the best spot, but I don't know if the Bengals are willing, or not, I won't say willing to do it, but I mean, if they would want to do that.
Yeah, because the coaches don't care about the money, and he's not making that much. Yeah, he's making first-round money, but he's still on his rookie deal this year. They did pick up his fifth-year option, so it's going to skyrocket next year. But yeah, I don't think that'll play into it. It's going to be the best fit for the position, and I think those three guys, they're first, second, and second-round picks, and Fig's a fifth-round pick. And they always say it doesn't matter where you came, how you got here, it's what you do once you're here. But that still kind of plays into a little bit. I still think he has some growing to do and some learning, as confident as he is. And I think he'll be ready if somebody goes down. But I think those other three guys are going to be the ones that start the season at corner.
Yeah, he really impressed me a lot last year. Buzz Boss, thanks for the $5 super chat. It's more of a statement. Our back seven on D will be much improved, more sacks and more turnovers. I said the quarterback room, I like. The safety room, that's the part I like. I'm glad Jordan Battle's going to get a shot. Hopefully Geno Stone plays more like he did at the end of the season, more than he did at the beginning of the season. Tyson Anderson and the other one, what's the other safety? Why can't the one who made the play against Kansas City and got the penalty?
Dejon Anthony.
Thank you, Dejon Anthony. I don't know why I hate that when I forget names. Anyway, I like both of those guys, but are you surprised that they haven't added any safety to that room at all?
Yeah, it was. And then not only did they not add to it, they asked Geno Stone to take a pay cut. That was a weird kind of dynamic there. And I think that says a lot about Geno that he took it, he accepted it. And he is. I do expect him to play more in Al Golden's system the way we saw at the end of last year than at the beginning. And Dan Horde had the podcast last week where he had all the beat writers on, and one of the questions was, give me a hot take, and my hot take was this: Bengals defense will lead the league in takeaways. As bad as they were last year, they were still 7th in takeaways. And they didn't have a great pass rush outside of Trey. And I think the pass rush is going to be better. I think that the linebacker play, the corners are going to be better. They're going to be playing with the lead. It's there. And I really do think they've got a chance to do that, to lead the league in takeaways. We've seen Geno Stone do it before. We're not asking him to do anything he hasn't done before. And I think
he ended up with what, five interceptions?
4 last year.
Yeah. So,
and he had 7 at that year in Baltimore. Cam has proved he can do it. He's he kind of started hot and then fell off. But I think the fact that he's proven he can do it before, plus the addition of Al Golden is going to be a boom for him. So I see it happening. Logan Wilson, we know, can take the ball away, and he's in the middle of fumbles, and so yeah,
that's what they did a lot that's what they did on the Super Bowl run. We turned the ball over a lot, so we and a lot of the guys are still on this team, and I think Cam Taylor-Britt's going to have a bounce back year. One thing I want to say, I know 6 o'clock you would get you out of here on this one. Joe Burrow, and I know it's OTAs, but he threw an interception to Cam Taylor-Britt, and then the very next play, he threw that bomb to Jamar. We didn't see that from Joe Burrow. I don't remember ever seeing that from Joe Burrow in OTAs. To me, that's what gets me excited about us being able to get off to a good start, because I think, and Orlando Brown was on my show last Friday, and he says the offense is pretty much right where it was at the end of last season. He thinks he'll be able to hit the ground running with this offense at the beginning of the season. And if that's true, that's why I think we might be able to get off to a better start. But do you think Joe Burrow has looked better? I know it's just OTAs, but that bomb impressed me, and I don't think I've seen him make a throw like that in OTAs. Have you ever seen him do that in OTAs, or does he look better than he has been in the past?
Oh, I've seen him do it in the past, but it wasn't 2024. He's 1,000% better. He was still dealing with the wrist last year at this time.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't comfortable letting it rip. He talked about he still felt pain. He was taking days off because to manage the recovery, and then plus, I mean, that was a big reason for the slow start. And then Jamar sitting out all of training camp.
Yep.
Yeah, he won the Triple Crown, but look what they did with him.
First 2 games, he wasn't very good. I mean, he wasn't. Yeah.
And look what they did with it. They moved him all around in every position possible. And the offense was just disjointed because they didn't have him do it. You can put other guys in those spots, but they're not Jamar. Right. So a lot of went into that. And that play you're talking about, we've seen Joe do that. We're kind of an FU to the defense after they make a play.
That was, yeah.
That's exactly what that was. That was not planned, because Jamar caught that deep ball and ran almost into the offensive line drill. If they knew they were going to be throwing deep balls, they would have been further back on the field, or they would have had the offensive line a little bit deeper back, and he almost ended up right in their drills on that. So that was probably the notable play of the offseason.
And that's the one that got me going, ooh, Joe's looking good. And like I said, that's a great point. Me and guys are at work. We're talking about this morning. Jamar wasn't, yes, he had a Triple Crown, played great. First 2 games, he wasn't there. And that offense was not clicking anywhere close to what it was at the end of last year. If that offense alone is anywhere close to what it was at the end of last year, we're going to be scoring 35 points a game, and then the defense has just got to, be average, which I don't know. I think they're going to be more than average, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, Jay, you said 30 minutes. I'm going to get you out of here. Plug some stuff before I let you go, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, doing the Growler podcast with Paul Dehner Jr. That's up every week. BengalsTalk.com. All my stuff is there. The stat of the J. And then just follow me on Twitter at Jay Morrison. It's the slow time. It's July now. It's getting closer to training camp, but it's still my summer vacation. So the content's really going to start picking up here in a couple of weeks as they start heading into training camp.
Exactly. I appreciate you coming on your vacation. Well, you're on vacation last week, but your vacation time from work, because I do this every day. I'm trying to talk about Bengals, and there's nothing to talk about. So I have
that's a good thing sometimes.
Oh yeah, I know. We don't need it. Well, if they sign Trey, that'd be a great story. I'll take that. That'd be good.
Yeah.
All right, Jay, take it easy, man. Thanks.
All right, see you, Jeff.
See you. All right, guys. So just you and me for the next half an hour or so. We got the Reds taking on Boston here at I think 7:00, 7:40 again. I do kind of want to talk, if you guys feel like it, we can talk Bengals if you want, but I kind of want to talk a little bit about Chase Burns and what I saw last night. I was really excited to go, see him pitch for the second time. Like Jay said, there had to be some kind. They found something out. The Red Sox did, because he's throwing 100 miles an hour. Yeah, some of them, like you listen to Cowboys, some of them the ball was just spinning in the middle of the plate, but they're taking big time hacks, very first pitch, and just jacking them out of the park. So it does seem like that he was tipping pitches. Now, the Nasty Boy, one of the Nasty Boys, Rob Dibble, was on Cincy 360 today with Tony Pike. And one thing he said, he'd have to go back and watch the film, but he was at the game. But he was talking about, there's different ways to grip the ball. if you're coming from behind or coming from the top or whatever, of how you grip your fastball, your changeup or whatever, that the guys could be checking out. He also said something about the way, I didn't think I just so much into, but how high your leg kicks compared to your fastball, compared to your throwing your changeup. I mean, there's so many different things, and Boston is really good at picking that stuff up. Now, I didn't hear trash cans banging or anything, but I did see the guys talk, which they're allowed to talk. And hey, if they can figure out what you're throwing, then that's good on them. But what the part that I was very excited about is the offense kept coming back and kept coming back. Now, the pitching just didn't handle it. And that's the thing, too, is like they were killing Chase Burns, but then they kept hitting the guys in the bullpen, too. Sometimes it just ain't your night. And for the Reds pitching, I don't think that mattered who they put out there last night. Red Sox were going to hit them. But I did like the comeback by the Reds and how this offense didn't go away. And that's the part that was very frustrating especially back in May. May was the most frustrated I've been with this team this season, because it just seemed like, especially if we got to the fifth inning and we hadn't scored, we probably weren't scoring. We had so many games in May that were one-run games and shutouts that it was ridiculous. Well, a game like that, if we played like that in May, they might not have scored a run, but they did. I don't know what the final score was. I had to I fell asleep listening to it. But I know they had 5 runs at one time. So that was the encouraging part of this, that they did not quit. Now, moving ahead, they got to bounce back tonight. They still have a chance to win this series. So, and I think that if they won 7 series in a row, I think, if I'm correct on that. If anybody wants to check me on that, they can tell me I'm right or wrong. But that's just some thoughts for me of the Cincinnati Reds. Now, I would go back to the Bengals here, and I do want to talk a little bit more about Dylan Fairchild and that video. Now, I'm more like, I guess, Marvin Lewis. I see better than I hear. I saw a big dude who was quick and could move against a professional wrestler. I mean, not WWE. I mean, it was UFC. They wrestle, they grapple. Now, they weren't, like Jay said, they weren't striking or anything, but they're wrestling with each other and grapple. And he was holding his own. And I don't know if you guys saw how quickly he jumped on his back. That was impressive, especially for as big as he is, to be able to move like that. So I was very impressed with that. That's where I think we're going to be fine at left guard. Again, we haven't got to training camp yet. Training camp starts here at the end of this month. Those are things I'm be excited to see. I want to see how good Rivers does. I think he could potentially be our future guard. I think it's going to be Strickland or Cody Ford. I think the Bengals actually want to be Strickland, if I'm saying his name again. You guys know I always mess his name up for some freaking reason. I was talking about the guard we got from New Orleans. I think they want him to win that job, but I do think they're giving Cody Ford a legit shot. Now, Cordell Volson, I don't think he's going to be a backup for us. Now, he's an interesting guy because he's another one that took another pay cut to stay here. And from other beat writers that I've heard, he's excited about Scott Peters and what Scott Peters is teaching him. And listening to Orlando Brown on my show Friday, I wish I could have got it out of him, but he said they got some stuff for us. He was very excited about the way Scott Peters was teaching him, what he was teaching him, how he was teaching him. He said they're doing hand-to-hand combat, in the locker room. Him and Mins are in there wrestling, and you already saw Fairchild could wrestle. So I think right now, it's July 1st, 2025. Right now, and it's all smoke and mirrors, but right now it seems like the Bengals have got the right coaches in the right spots, because we need to get more out of those two positions than we've been getting the last couple of years. We need to get more out of the offensive line. We need to get more out of the defense. The offensive line, like Jay said, the Bengals have, I don't even say they haven't drafted well, but they haven't developed. I mean, there's other teams that draft 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round guards and develop them. They have tried over and over and over again, and it hasn't happened. Now, Mims last year was a 1st round pick. but we've had other first-round picks who were okay. We'll always remember Andre Smith. I remember when they drafted him, he was supposed to be our left tackle. That he never made the left tackle. He was always our right tackle because Whitworth established himself there. But Andre Smith was never as good as we thought he would be. Jonah Williams. I've defended Jonah Williams a lot, but he still wasn't the all-pro left tackle that we thought he was going to be, as a first-round pick. Mims still yet to be determined, but everything we've seen from this kid, it looks like he is going to be that dude. And we're going to have two solid tackles going on into the future here. Dylan Fairchild looks really good. I'm very impressed with him. We got Ted Karras, who had a very solid year last year. So my concern, if you look at the way I look at the right guard, is the one that is concerning for me. And Cody Ford, if he wins, I know nobody wants to hear this, but Cody Ford played really well last year. I mean, he did. He held his own. He played really good at tackle, better than I thought he would. So Cody Ford could be that guy. But the other guy they brought in for New Orleans is the one I think they want to win the job, but I don't think they're going to hand it to him. Not like they've handed the left guard spot to Fairchild. It's his to lose. Right is up for grabs. That's going to be the competition in this training camp coming up here. The X factor for me, I tried to get a chance to ask Jay this, but my X factor in this whole thing is, and he did mention a little bit, but Jermaine Burton. If that kid, like I said, got his head screwed on right, which, I mean, we always say that it wasn't he's out partying or doing this or doing, I mean, I guess he went out to the casinos or something too late. He was missing practices and showing up late, and it was just immaturity stuff. It wasn't like big, from what I've heard, it was like big red flags of, oh my goodness, this kid doesn't care. It was more of, I'll put it this way. Orlando Brown said this Friday when Game On asked him about his preparation. He said he used to goof around and not really take practice seriously, and it'd take him a little while to really get going during the season. He changed, and he really takes practice and everything seriously. Now, that's Orlando Brown maturing. That's where I think Burton is. I don't think he's always been so good. I mean, these guys, if you're an NFL player, you're always the best athlete on your peewee school, your middle school team, your high school team. You were always the best player then, and you were one of the best players on your college team if you got drafted, especially if you're a first-round pick. So you get these things where you're just athletically gifted and better than everybody else. But once you get to the NFL, they're all like that. That's where the guys who take it seriously and practice and work on their craft really excel. And that's where I'm glad Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are taking Jermaine under their wing and saying, look, young blood, this is what you got to do to harness all this God-given talent you got. I mean, God can give you all the talent in the world, but if you don't do something with it, that's on you. And that's where I think Burton seems like he's got it figured out. We'll find out. Again, this is all speculative from what we've heard. It looks better now than it did at this time last year. We'll see what happens. I mean, I know Jay mentioned this on Bengals and Brews yesterday about Burton possibly being the punt returner, which he did do that last year. I am all for that. I think that would be an excellent spot for him because he's going to be, right now, he's the fourth wide receiver on this team. Could he move up to third? Sure. But to make an actual impact on this team from day one, punt return, it could be that. That's what I'm thinking. Let's see. Fuzzy Balls, what do you got? Only new weapon on offense is that running back. Yeah, and some beat writers don't think Taj Brooks is going to get that much of a chance to play, which I hope they're wrong. I was very excited that they drafted him, and I love the P. Ryan's back. I just don't know what we're getting out of Zach Moss. He had the neck issue last year. I guess he's cleared. I don't know that's the one I don't know what we're going to get out. That's where I'm kind of like, Brooks could take that spot, depending on what Moss does. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Moss does great and they all do great. And we got an excellent running back room. But getting the running game going means you need very good guard play. That is a key to this offense to me. Obviously, like Jay said, the key to this offense is, like everybody else, it's the offensive line. You've got to have good guard play. You've got to have good to great tackle play, which I think we're going to have great tackle play. I think Orlando Brown is going to get a Pro Bowl season this year. Hell, Mims might do it. Teddy K is going to have a great year. It's the guards. And if you want to look at this, go back and look at our offensive line that we had when we were in the Super Bowl. None of those guys are here anymore. And this offensive line, say what you want, even with the two question marks. I'll say the one question mark at guard. I think Fairchild's going to be left guard. This offensive line is better than what we had then. And if this defense can get back to the ball hockey, turning the ball over like we did the Super Bowl season, we're going to be fine. And that's what I keep going at. That's what excites me about this. Like, just got to get Trey signed, get Shamar in here, so I get everybody signed, and hopefully it's done before training camp. I pray to God it's done before training camp so we don't have to worry about this throughout training camp. I still believe Trey's going to get done before training camp because he loves to practice. He's in Cincinnati. He's working out at Black Sheep. I know they're talking. Oh, good night, Paul. Hey, brother. Thanks for watching, dude. But yeah, that's it's going to be a good season. As long as everybody stays healthy. Oh yeah, Trey. That's what I was talking about. Trey. He's here working out Black Sheep. He's in the city. Trey likes to practice. Trey likes to be around football. When push comes to shove, somebody's going to have to give in. Hopefully Trey gives him some, and hopefully the Bengals give in some. And they can meet in the middle. Let's see here. Michael Mann. Yes, I think Myles Murphy has the most pressure to perform on this team. I agree. And we've heard he's in the best shape of his life. We've heard that how many times from people. I do believe Myles Murphy is going to be given his best shot. I don't believe Myles has been given the greatest shot his first 2 years to make an impact. Now, one thing Jay did say, he said Shamar Stewart was brought in a sense to potentially replace Trey. That's what I thought Myles Murphy was drafted for 2 years ago. And then Trey ended up signing an extension and Myles got buried. So, yes, I'm very excited to see Myles Murphy because if the kid's got potential, I mean, it's not like he has never played football before. It's like he's never been successful. He was a first-round pick for a reason. If the Bengals didn't pick him, somebody's going to pick him in the first round. He was getting picked in the first round. So he's got talent. You got Josie Osai, who's on a contract year. Guys who want to get that money on the contract year usually have a very good year, as long as he stays healthy. Shamar Stewart, like I said, they got to get him signed. You get him, move him inside, outside, and around. And I keep saying TJ Slayton. I said this with Jay. I think TJ Slayton is not, obviously he's going to help in the run game, but I think he's also going to help in the pass game, just being that dude in the middle that we didn't have last year. We lost DJ Reader. He's going to take up two guys. Guys can go get him. He's going to create lanes for our blitzers, I think. Mon's in there. What's up, buddy? We are all set for OT. Just need to be better at guard spots. Peters will have them ready. I agree with you. Then you got Bengals had 27.5 team sacks last year. Mon's hot take. The Bengals have 30. Wait, hold on. The Bengals have 50 team sacks in 2025. Woo! That's smoking out right there, Mon. I like that. Oh, hey. I might go play some money on that. If not, then you owe me money, Mon. I'm just kidding. Fro, I don't see another option for us on Trey. It has to get done. Yeah, they're both that way. There is no trading Trey. There is no Trey said he'd sit out games. I know. I just don't. I mean, I don't see how that's going to help him. He's 30 years old, sitting out games. and less chances of being able to put together a good, solid season if they don't sign him. I don't think it's a smart move. But what do I know? We'll see. Hopefully he gets signed, hopefully before training camp. We'll see what happens. Let's see here. Esther, Miles Murphy has potential, but he is not aggressive. Well, hopefully we'll get some of that aggression out of him. Stranger, I'm excited for all the young defensive guys. Golden is known for developing that. Yes, thank you for bringing me back to my point I was trying to say before about our coaches. We got guys on our offensive line who are known for developing offensive linemen. That's what he's known for. Al Golden is known for developing young defensive players. I've said this on here a million times. I know somebody said the stat on one of the podcasts I was listening to last night. But we have a ton of top 100, top 90 talent or first and second round picks on this defense. This defense is full of first and second round picks. The last 4 or 5 years, 90% of our draft picks have been on defense. So that's the point to this whole thing of what was so frustrating of how this defense got worse. It should get better. We have guys who are talented. They were first and second round picks for a reason. You know, it wasn't just the Bengals picking them. Other teams would have picked them. Lou wasn't getting it out of them. Al Golden, I think, will. That's what he's known for. So that's what gets me excited. Now, I don't think we're going to be the 85 Bears or anything. Don't get me wrong. But I do think we're going to be improved. And like I said, with the way Joe Burrow is looking, I know it's only OTAs, but the way he's looking, he's got that killer instinct. I mean, just like he said, that was that FU moment. Like, all right, you intercepted me. All right, watch this. And that's against his own teammates. Let's see what he does, in the regular season. Fuzzy balls. Let's see here. Shamar Stewart's agent has given Miles the best opportunity, yes, he has had at getting first team reps. This is a chance to impress coaches. I agree with that. That and Trey not being there. So Josie Osai, now it's OTAs. OTAs is OTAs. They're doing stuff in shorts and t-shirt, but it is more snaps that the coach is doing. Trey not being there, Shamar not being there. Yeah, it gives Osai more chances. It gives Murphy more chances. So yes, they hopefully took advantage of it. Hopefully those snaps, I don't want to say go away, but they're less because I want Trey and Shamar in here and they all get their, kind of share the snaps. Fuzzy Ball's got another comment here. If the Bengals can have plus 15 sacks and plus 15 turnovers in 2024, we will win at least 13 games. Oh, yeah, for sure. That is, yeah. And that's not a lot, to be honest. If you really fit 15 sacks and as a team and 15 turnovers, that to me doesn't sound outlandish. Like it should be very doable and something that they can achieve. Now, the one thing room on the offense I am kind of concerned about is the tight end room. We lost Eric All, and that is a big loss. He was the only tight end we had that is a tight end. I mean, Mike Gesicki's a tight end, but he's really a receiver in a tight end's body. Eric All can do it all. We don't have that guy. Drew Sample can block. McLaughlin, I think, can block. I haven't seen him play a lot. Gesicki, we know, can catch. I'm curious of how, because Pitcher did a lot of the two tight end sets last year. I wonder if we're going to do that as much this year because we don't have All. And I'm also curious of how he's going to engrave this running game because we don't have a running game coordinator now. It was Frank Pollock. Now it's more back in Pitch's hand. And this team, we've talked about this before, this team has to get more consistent. And Chase Brown, I'm telling you, I'm not the only one thinks this could be a breakout year for him. And I think 990 yards from scrimmage, if I'm doing off the top of my head last year, total yards. It's really good. Oh yeah, that's right. We still have Tanner Hudson. You're right. You're true. Thank you, Michael. But I mean, Tanner Hudson he's more of a receiver, taking as a blocker. to be honest. So yes, we do have Tanner Hudson. How did I forget about Tanner? But Chase Brown, I do think there's two guys that I think are going to be potentially could be breakout guys for the Bengals this year. Chase Burns, or excuse me, Chase Burns is the pitcher for the Reds. Chase Brown and Burton. Those guys, Jermaine Burton, those guys have a shot to make a difference. And I think Jermaine really, I do think if they can put him at punt, maybe kickoff return too, that's a way to make an impact immediately. And that's nothing against Charlie Jones. I think Charlie Jones is a good player, but he's getting injured and he has to be able to stay healthy. And if Burton replaces him as the return guy, there might not be a spot for him on this team. But if you get Burns and Brown going this year, and those are X factors that I think they're going to be, that makes this offense that much twitchier, faster, more explosive. Those are the words I'm looking for. Fuzzy Balls, extra $5 super chat. If you give Joe 1.5 seconds more per dropback, he's going to rearrange the NFL record books. Yes. Yeah, I know it's a record book. I know. Yes, dude, that's what I'm telling you. That's what I like. Just remember the offensive line we had that Joe took us to the Super Bowl. If Fairchild can play as good as I think he can, I think Fairchild could be a very solid guard for us. That video was very impressive to me. I'll just keep it that way. If we get the right solid play out of the right guard position, and they got to stay healthy, this offense, I guess that's why the Steelers traded Mika Fitzpatrick. I still don't get that trade so they can add a tight end. I don't. Jalen Ramsey does not scare me at all. I mean, he was in the AFC East. It's not like they throw the ball a ton. You know, who is he covering? You know, I mean, and they're going to, he could be slot corner. He could be outside. He can play safety. And our tight end could be a slot receiver and a fullback. Dude, you guys are, to me, the Steelers are grasping at straws. I think, honestly, I want to say this about the Steelers. Sorry, Squealers. I think this is their last desperate shot to scratch and claw to try to keep some semblance of a team that they think can be competitive before they have to blow this thing up. They've never had to blow this thing up. If this doesn't work, which I don't think it's going to, I think this might be Mike Tomlin's last year. Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. Even if they sign TJ Watt, they can turn around and trade him. I think they are on the cusp of finally blowing this team up and having to start from scratch like everybody else. Because you ain't got that quarterback. It doesn't matter. And they haven't had that quarterback in a while. And I'm even talking about when Ben was there. Ben wasn't the quarterback he was before. Aaron Rodgers, he can't move like he used to. I think his arm's still there, but you got to deal with a certain. And this is such an un-Steeler-like move. Do you think they did this to appease Aaron Rodgers? Because I mean, right now he's got DJ Metcalf. That's really it. I mean, now he's got the tight end they got from Miami, but that's it. They don't really have anybody to throw the ball to. And I know they'll throw the ball a ton. They're going to run the ball a lot, but if your offense is the run's getting stopped, you got to throw the ball. I don't care. I can't see Aaron Rodgers being okay with handing it off 90% of the time and then throwing it every once in a while. I just don't see Aaron Rodgers being okay with that. And I see every team that takes Aaron Rodgers on, they placate to him. I mean, he's still doing the Pat McAfee show. He signed late. That's un-Steeler-like. They're trading one of their best defensive players for a kind of has-been one and a tight end. I don't know. I think it's a desperate move. I think they are desperate. I really do. Fuzzy balls. Ramsey can't cover Yossi lost 101. He couldn't cover Jamar and T 4 years ago in the Super Bowl. That's 4 years ago. Michael. I think Pittsburgh traded Fitzpatrick to save money towards Watts. They didn't save money. Well, because I don't know what Fitzpatrick contract is, but I know they added money on the Ramsey end to the tight end. They got more money. So I don't know if they saved money or not, to be honest. I mean, you might be right, but I don't know. I'd have to look that up. Bro, can't wait to see our guys fold. Alawaska. Aaron. That's good. You can spell that. I had to figure out what it was at first. But yeah, Alawaska, if I said that right. Anyway, guys, it is 6:30. Time for me to get on out of here. I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching the show. Appreciate Jay Morrison for coming on. He did back-to-back shows. He was on Bengals and Brews yesterday. He was on mine today. I know he just got back because I was sitting there. He's on Bengals and Brews. So I'm like, yeah, I got to get him back on. And I looked at it, DM'd him. I'm going, oh, yeah, he's on vacation. I'll see he wants to come on here sometime soon. He goes, how about tomorrow? I'm like, okay. So my thanks to Jay for coming on. My thanks for you guys for watching. I've been live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch. You can follow me on all of those along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. I will be pulling a sound off later on tonight, putting on the podcast. So if you don't want to sit there and listen to me or watch me for an hour, you can sit there and listen to me talk for an hour. It's on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure to rate, like, and review. Leave a 5-star review and a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. Shout out to my sponsors. They are as followed. Priority Lawn and Landscaping. You guys got any lawn or landscaping needs? Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Don't think it. Call them at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And, of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. Their website is MeyerCincinnati.com for all your window and door needs. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. And, of course, my favorite brewery, delicious Moorline Lager House beer. It is awesome. I highly recommend you guys go check that out this weekend, maybe. July 4th is coming up. They're going to be open. Get on down there to the riverfront. Have some delicious Moorline food, delicious Moorline beer. Tell me you heard about them, Sports with Strawberry Ice. You will get absolutely nothing, but I would like them to go, hey, we're getting people in there because of you. That'd be awesome. Again, Moorline Lager House. All right, boys and girls, I appreciate you guys watching the show. Get Paul on. Paul says, yeah, that's good. I have to reach out and try to get Paul back on again. Been a little while since he's been on. Paul gets on here and he gets the bourbon face going, and it's a lot of fun. Paul's an awesome dude. If you guys don't follow him or watch his podcast, go check it out. It's Bengals UK. It is awesome. Other than that, I think I'm out of here. I'll see you guys live tomorrow at 5:30. Remember, Houday for life, and throw it up. That's your sports, baby. See ya!
Another great show. You guys still here? The show's over. You can come back tomorrow. I'm out of here. See ya.